ABC, it's Danny, back for part two of my year in jazz. If you haven't seen part one, go back and check that out because I'm just going to pick it right up where I left off. Exactly where I left off, actually. Just wanted to say very quickly apologies to anybody who really knows what they're talking about who got to the end of the video where I'm talking about bass on top and you were probably scratching your head wondering what I was talking about. I really got my wires crossed and was using terminology that didn't make any sense. I started talking about how this was moving into the new thing, which doesn't make any sense. This is a record from the 50s. What I was trying to say and kind of lost my way um, is that the chamber music element of this record, when you mix it with the hard bop, just created a sound that was a lot more out than I was expecting. Anyway, um, but as I said, kind of at the end of the video, I got um, this great collection of Japanese pressings, and actually that really held me for a lot of the year. I kind of stopped. If that was the first third of the year, I kind of stopped picking things up for the entire summer months. 6 months out of the year, and then kind of near the end of the year, I was really listening to a lot of this stuff actively, and I stumbled across this record on eBay, which I had missed out on at the beginning of the year on Instagram, and it had stuck with me because there's something interesting about this record. This is the Johnny Griffin Quartet, the Carrie Dancers. This is a Japanese pressing on Riverside, put out by Victor. I'm not really 100%, but the first side of this is Johnny Griffin interpreting Irish and English folk songs as jazz. And that really got me interested as well. Ron Carter is playing with Barry Harris on piano and Ben Riley on drums. But once I got the record and I listened, it's a gorgeous record. It's really beautiful, and the just Johnny Griffin's playing on this is so controlled and so varied in a way. Um, he just seems to have a new a new way he's breathing through the instrument. I don't know how to put it any other way than that. For each song and for each melody, and he seems to be making a different choice about exactly how he's blowing and playing for each song, and it just creates this incredible listening experience. The second half might be better than the first, and as a great little bonus, track 4 is the Londonderry Air, which is, if you take the lyrics out, it's the melody to Danny Boy. So that's a nice little bonus for you. But that was, you know, that kind of hooked me back in. As I've said before, you get a good thing, and the collector gets kicked off, and you want to find more. So I had good luck, and now I'm losing track of exactly the order of things here, but I had such good luck with with my order from Japan in terms of the quality of the records, the quality of the music, that I decided to put in another order, targeting one record in particular, and then I found a few others to go along with it from the same shop. And I was kind of ready to step back out of the straight ahead, cool soul jazz, bluesy jazz kind of pocket that I'd been in. And the one record in particular that I was really hoping to find was Don Cherry's Symphony for Improvisers. I was very happy to find this particular pressing because the title, the record itself, and the fact that King King pressings, Japanese Blue Note pressings, were kind of the ones to look for, were both tips that I got from James Buttery, and so this kind of had everything in one package. But that's, as a collector, this is why I decided to blindly order these records from overseas. But this just floored me. It's free. It's very free. Let me see. It's got one hell of a lineup. All right. Don Cherry on trumpet. Gato Barbieri on tenor sax. Pharoah Sanders on tenor sax and piccolo. Carl Berger on vibes and piano. Henry Grimes on bass. Jenny Clark on bass. And Ed Blackwell on drums. It's very free. except that uh, it's being kind of corralled by Cherry's compositions, and so it's very accessible. Um, yeah, I've been watching a lot of Davis Winchester's videos lately, and he calls it inside outside. I know Andrew from Tales from the Crate and Dave Local Bandography, they call it Jazz for Punks. Um, but it was that was my entryway. I mean, it was Davis and Coltrane and Blakey, and then from a completely other angle, kind of some freer stuff. Anyway, I'm babbling, but that's where my head was at when I put this order in. And so, again, if you've watched part one, you'll see it was a big year for me and Jackie McLean. So I got One Step Beyond, which had the added bonus of having Gresham Moncourt playing on it with Bobby Hutcherson, Anthony Williams, and Eddie Kahn. It's an insane lineup. A fantastic record. Again, as I mentioned in the last video, I've been enjoying every Jackie record that I find, but the ones where he really finds his place or what he wants to say with kind of out, new thing, freer jazz, it's been a joy, and this one is no exception. Just so thrilled to get this, so thrilled to have it, and I got kind of pulled back out of the inside outside thing quickly after getting these records, so I need more time with all of them. But it was an exciting kind of haul here. This was another one I was very happy to get. Day in the City by the Don Friedman Trio, which is Don Friedman, Chuck Israels, and Joe Hunt. And this was one where you always got to do a little extra digging on Discogs. The regular version of this record was available for maybe $10 less. This is a white label promo. But if you search like kind of how many more copies are available of the other one, that was the top asking price you could really ask for. If you search how many copies were available of this was really affordable. So I paid up a little bit, but I think in the long run it'll be worth it. Anyway, I'm sorry, this is collector talk, not really music talk. The liner notes in this one even address that some of the music sounds almost as if it's not jazz. And Don Friedman says, of course it's not jazz. It has a very angular, sometimes almost like new classical vibe to some of the music. It's yeah, I don't know. It's really great, but I need more time. Anyway, and the last record I got in that little haul, I showed it again in my vinyl tag, but I'll show it again. Bill Evans and Jim Hall, Undercurrent. This is a Japanese pressing of this record. Just a beautiful, beautiful guitar and piano duet record, which I feel like was a really great kind of glue. Sits in the middle of all the types of jazz that I've been listening to this year. But shortly after those records arrived, Blue Note started running sales. I guess this must have been right around Christmas. And there were plenty of Blue Note 80 titles that I had intended to pick up. So I grabbed a few that I thought were really essential, at least that I really wanted the most. One of them was Into Something, Larry Young. You got Sam Rivers, Larry Young, Grant Green, and Elvin Jones. I have a couple Sam Rivers records. I have a few Sam Rivers records, and they're all incredible. He's an artist who I just find fascinating. Doesn't really matter how out he gets. But I do like him. Most of the artists that I like who really get out there, I like to hear what they sound a little more tethered. And I definitely find that here. This is an organ record. It has a steady groove. It's very approachable, beautiful, fantastic record. Another one, Joe Henderson, In and Out. Classic Henderson that I only had on CD before this. This lineup is absurd. Kenny Dorham on trumpet, Joe Henderson tenor, McCoy Tyner piano, Richard Davis bass, and Elvin Jones on drums. You know, just an incredible hard bop classic. And, you know, as the title suggests, kind of moving outside of that space. And this one, Inventions and Dimensions, Herbie Hancock. You know, this is a treat from an audio perspective. It's an incredible Herbie record who just, you know, has that unbelievable ability to continue to create classic sounds while always evolving his sounds. Yeah, he just really seems to have his finger on the pulse and be able to move forward with that. You know, Herbie's music is stunning, always and forever. But Herbie Hancock on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, Willie Bobo on drums, and Osvaldo Chihuahua Martinez on conga and bongo. Yeah, there's space in this recording. There's drums kind of bouncing around. It's incredibly textural, and that really pulls you in. And then, you know, kind of everything you always get from Herbie, but you know, in always a new specific flavor as he moves through his career. So, I'm going slow here. That was so good that when they ran another sale, I decided to pick up a whole bunch of other ones. The Rump Roller by Lee Morgan. Taken Off by Herbie Hancock. You know, my point of view is one of my favorite Herbie records, and so I was very excited to get Taken Off. My point of view being his second record. Una Mas, another one I only had on CD. You know, Kenny Dorham and Joe Henderson just have a synergy, and of course Herbie and Anthony Williams, Butch Warren's on here as well. Great kind of Latin infused. I don't know if it's hard bop. I think. I'm sorry, guys. Anybody who really knows what they're talking about, it must be painful to listen to me. I don't have my subgenres straight, but not challenging. Fantastic music. If you like hard bop and you don't know this record, you should get to know that record. Basra by Pete LaRocca. Any jazz record kind of led from the drums is one that I'm eager to hear. Blakey was my big in, you know, outside of Davis and Coltrane, so it's always, and anything Henderson plays on is something I want to hear. Been looking forward to this title for a long time. You know, little further out, but still very approachable. Kenny Dorham's Trompetta Toccata. Once again, the Dorham and Henderson pairing, Tommy Flanagan, Richard Davis, and Albert Heath playing on this one. Another great record. And this one I had been looking forward to for a very long time. Andrew Hill's Smokestack. I don't have much by Andrew Hill. I have Blackfire and Grassroots, but both of them are phenomenal records. This one was farther out than I was expecting, and it's Richard Davis's bowing on here, which I got kind of my wires crossed in the last video, with Chambers bowing on bass on top. And if you hear the nonsense I speak at the end of the last video, at a certain point I'm starting to talk about this record, which makes no sense. But, yeah, Wailing Wall in particular has some bowing that can be really aggressive and difficult to take, but, yeah, just surrounded by, I don't know how to describe Andrew Hill's music. There's a tension, I think, versus a total freedom. You know, it's not freedom in that it could go anywhere. There's tension in that you don't know where he's going, but he knows where he's going. Yeah, I find Andrew Hill's music intriguing. This record is no exception. You'll notice I flew through all of those. I think that's, unfortunately, that just kind of is, I can't think of the word, proportional to the amount of time that I've spent listening. I haven't gotten to spend as much time with those records as I wanted. And I couldn't let the sales at Blue Note go without grabbing a cooker, by Lee Morgan, the sorely needed title. Of course, the Tone Poet release, with the beautiful photos. And of course, with so much Jackie McLean this year, I had to pick up It's Time. Fiery, explosive, energetic, incredible record from Jackie. Charles Tolliver on trumpet, Herbie Hancock on piano, Cecil McBee on bass, Roy Haynes on drums. Of course, Jackie is on alto sax. Yeah, you know, as I say in the last video, Jackie is always drenched in the blues. And then hearing him take that and move it out, like really far out, with obviously some of the best players. I mean, Jackie just played with everybody, all the greatest players. It's just such a treat. If you haven't been watching my channel for very long, I definitely kind of start my journey at folk and blues and roots music, and so I think Jackie McLean has been a great guide, one of the great guides through jazz, but most recent love affair, I guess. But yeah, fully formed, kind of this classic period of Jackie exploring kind of out jazz, and it just phenomenal. It has, it has that great thing of kind of setting you free. The music kind of breaks apart as it frees up, and then somebody states the head again and kind of pulls you back in, or somebody, there's a very structured drum fill that kind of pulls you back in, and it's just this incredible kind of attention, like there's this release and this, it's wonderful. So right around that time, one of my good buddies, him and I have been talking about, which Blue Note releases are you going to get and all that stuff, and so we kind of gotten ourselves hyped up about the audiophile experience of some of these records, and so we decided to take a trip to, and he had other reasons to go, but we decided to take a trip to Common Wave Hi-Fi in LA, and it was a great trip. I got to hear some incredible gear. I mean, stuff that costs absurd amounts of money, but it was amazing to hear it. And they have a great little record shop there, and when we were there, one of the records that they'd been playing for us was a Gene Ammons record, so I grabbed this Analog Productions pressing of Gene Ammons' Nice and Cool, which really lined right up with the kind of music I'd been listening to all year. Very cool, very in the pocket kind of jazz, and this is a gorgeous record. I mean, this was everything I was hoping for. This really captured and furthered, I think, what I had found at the beginning of the year, what kicked off this kind of journey. Gene Ammons just plays with such soul and such a feeling for the blues, and it's such a mellow pace. Yeah, I mean, it works for me. Till There Was You is on here. Something I Dreamed Last Night, Someone to Watch Over Me, just an incredible version of Someone to Watch Over Me, which is one of my favorite kind of Great American Songbook songs. So yeah, it was really great. I felt like I kind of finished the year where I'd started and found this like newer, better, slightly deeper version, kind of from Willis Jackson to Gene Ammons. So one of the records that was being demoed for us was a beautiful, probably one of the Analog Productions, which are out of print now, copy of the Soulful Moods of Gene Ammons, and I've been trying to track down a nice clean copy for myself without paying too much for it. This is my best attempt so far, not so great. This is maybe a G plus copy, but this record again is just stunning. Gene Ammons is just, yeah, it's not all the time, and like if I want to be challenged, if I want to be really engaged, I'm not going to pull out Gene Ammons. But if it's been a long day and I just want to relax and enjoy the sound and the music, and I don't know why these are Rudy Van Gelder recordings, but there's Rudy had a great facility for recording Gene and his groups. They just are beautiful recordings. Um, but yeah, I don't recognize many of the song titles here. Gene Ammons, Patty Brown on piano, Patty Bown, George Duvivier on bass, Eddie Shaughnessy on drums. But again, that slow kind of, it feels open. The music has space, and he's taking his time, and he's really milking every note. And yeah, I think a lot of what I got into this year was caring about the relationship between one note and the next, and not just being stunned by the fireworks and the pyrotechnics of virtuosic playing, but really caring about what I was hearing and kind of, almost like when you listen to music with lyrics, when you really decide to stop and pay attention to what are these lyrics saying rather than just hearing them as part of a melody. Gene Ammons has been a perfect artist for that. So I did another little Discogs dig, found a bunch of these from a New York shop that had them nice and cheap. These are all represses, but here's Gene Ammons' Jug. And the title track, Old Man River, is a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. Richard Wines, Clarence Anderson, Doug Watkins, and Ray Barretto on here. Yeah, more of the same. I mean, Gene Ammons cut a lot of ballads, a lot of slow songs, a lot of cool jazz, and I'm here for all of it. It's great. This one here got in the same hall, Art Tatum and Ben Webster. Ben Webster was one of the artists who I kind of already had a record of his, and it kind of fit this vein. And so I'd heard the version of My Ideal and All the Things You Are that are on here. And I saw that My One and Only Love is on here as well. And I thought, for as good as the versions of My Ideal and All the Things You Are, there's no way this isn't a fantastic record front to back. It absolutely is. Got a nice price on this. All of these are kind of, VG Plus borderline covers with VG Plus discs. They sound great. Been very happy with them. So right along the same lines, Jerry Mulligan meets Johnny Hodges. Again, probably need to put a little more time in with this one, but it's just like, yep, there's that thing again. I think by this point, I if I'm being totally honest, I started to get a little full of, I reached my that's enough level in my collection with this kind of cool, soulful, straight ahead, bluesy jazz. I love it, but I have more than enough now to keep me satisfied for a while. This is Stride Right, Johnny Hodges and Earl Father Hines. Kenny Burrell plays guitar on here. Richard Davis playing bass and playing it straight. Joe Marshall playing the drums. So this is a lot of fun. This is a good little gem. This one's got a little more heat, just maybe a little more spark, something else going on. Not so sedate. Very, very fun. And, being an obsessive collector, never being content. I knew I was full, but I thought maybe I'm just not. Maybe I should get better ingredients, if you know what I mean. I was still so enjoying that Gene Ammons Analog Productions pressing that I thought maybe I should grab a couple more of those because they seem to be all selling out. This Prestige series that Analog Productions did. And I forget which video, but I thought I saw or heard Sheriff mention Booker Ervin, and he's not an artist who I'm overly familiar with, so I picked these up. Booker Ervin Exaltation, which is Frank Strozier on alto sax, Horace Parlan on piano, Butch Warren on bass, and Walter Perkins on drums. Another Rudy Van Gelder recording on Prestige. Sound is incredible. Ervin's got an interesting sound. It's kind of like an edgier Coltrane in a way. Yeah, it's great, but I need to spend more time with it. It's so funny with jazz because things can be so close to what I've been looking for, so close to what I've been listening to. A Day in the City, the Don Friedman Trio record, is very much like this. And one little vibe about the music will be Just Outside, and it gets put on the shelf till later. And that, to be fair, to be honest, that's what happened with these Booker Ervin records. The songbook here, which this is Richard Davis is playing bass on this one again. Tommy Flanagan's on piano. Alan Dawson. This one connected with me a little bit more immediately, which I think makes sense. This is kind of his it's the songbook. He's doing the songbook. So Yesterday's is on here. Our Love Is Here to Stay. All the Things You Are. It's a great record, but again, I do need to put more time in, kind of get to know better. But these analog productions, prestige pressings are, as good as it gets in terms of modern pressings. The sound is phenomenal. The pressing is great. Jackets are beautiful. And so this, I thought this was great. I still have to get back to you, Sheriff, but Sheriff's comment on my last video was reminding me not to neglect McLean's prestige period. And I had already picked up Jackie's Pal with Mal Waldron and Philly Joe Jones, Bill Hardman, and Paul Chambers. And this is just, it sounds obvious maybe, or maybe it doesn't. Jackie's he burns so bright at each end, his transitions are incredible and absolutely, engaging listens and wonderful music and records I'll keep plumbing the depths of for years. But there's just this kind of fire at the beginning of his career when he's not trying to get somewhere else, when he's content to play kind of bluesy jazz, with fire, but in the pocket, straight ahead, so to speak. These are kind of, this record in its way is the equal of some of his later kind of out classics, I think. Again, maybe that's my predilection for the blues, but just an incredible record. And speaking of incredible records, this is not a 2020 pickup, but it's too good, so I have to show it. This is a very recent pickup, actually from a fellow VC member, and it's an Instagram purchase, so it fits the theme of purchasing great jazz records on Instagram. Alex Motoric 247 posted this for sale last week, I think. Charles Mingus, Blues and Roots, and I just had to jump at the chance. Maybe it was early this week. Doesn't matter. Time is a blur. This copy is absolutely gorgeous. The music is stunning. It's just, I don't know if you can see that. It's minty. And this is, I think, a second pressing. It's so Mingus doing blues and gospel, hollering from behind the bass, and just, this record is on fire from the moment it starts, and it has that incredible Mingus sound, the way that he could, it sounds almost, his music almost sounds like it starts to get in its own way. It gets so complicated and so dense with harmony and melody and rhythm, and then it breaks free and kind of resets and reorients you, and just that push-pull and that tension. Fantastic. Wednesday night prayer meeting. It's just one of those, like, holy shit, side A, track 1, drop the needle, and you're just like floored immediately. Crying Blues, moaning, not the Bobby Timmons track, but a song Mingus wrote. Tensions. So there you go. It's there it is. Tensions. That this record has it. My Jelly Roll Soul, obviously an homage to Jelly Roll Morton, and E's flat, Oz flat too. Even the song titles, Mingus, Mingus has such, it's almost visual, his identity. It's so intense, and it's so particular, and it's so strong, and it's Mingus, it's Mingus, right? He's an incredible artist. I'm very happy to have this beautiful copy. Thank you, Alex. Thank you guys for the positive response to the last video, And I hope you guys enjoy this one. And thanks for all the conversation. And yeah, I wouldn't be this deep into jazz without the VC. And it's been a very enriching part of my musical journey. So I really appreciate it. Now, talk to you soon, guys. Bye.